मम देवारिहवे सन्तु सर्व इन्द्रावन्तो मरुतो विष्णुरग्निः ममान्तरिक्षमरुगोपमस्तु मह्यं वातः पवतां कामे अस्मिन् मयि देवा द्रविणमाय जन्तां मय्याशीरस्तु मयि देवहूतिः देव्या होतारावनिशन्त ऊर्वेरिष्टास्याम तनुवा सुवीराः हिरण्यपात्रं मधोः पूर्णं ददाति मधव्योऽशानीति एकधा ब्रह्मण उपहरति एकधैव यजमानयुस्तेजो दधाति। सद्गुरुपादाभ्यां नमो नमः। महागणपतये नमो नमः। दत्तात्रेय स्वामिये नमो नमः। प्रार्थनापूर्वक नमस्कारान् समर्पयामः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामभित्र्यवतु। श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अन्नाद्वै हरिः ओम् ब्रह्मविदाप्नोति परं तदेशाभ्युक्ता सत्यं ज्ञानमनन्तं ब्रह्म यो वेद निहितं गुहायां परमे व्योमन् सोऽश्नुते सर्वान् कामान् सः ब्रह्मणा विपश्चितेति तस्मादात्मनः आकाशः सम्भूतः आकाशाद् वायुः वायोरग्निः अग्निरापः अद्यः पृथिवी पृथिव्या ओषधयः ओषधीभ्योऽन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः स वा एष पुरुषोन्नरसमयः तस्येदमेव शिरः अयं दक्षिणः पक्षः अयमुत्तरः पक्षः अयमात्मा इदं पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति। अन्नाद्वै प्रजाः प्रजायन्ते याः काश्च पृथिवीगुश्रिताः अथो अन्नेनैव जीवन्ति अथैनदपि यन्त्यन्ततः अन्नगो हि भूतानां ज्येष्ठम् तस्मात् सर्वौषधमुच्यते सर्वामैतेन्नमाप्नुवन्ति येन्नं ब्रह्मोपासते अन्नगो हि भूतानां ज्येष्ठम् तस्मात् सर्वौषधमुच्यते अन्नात् भूतानि जायन्ते जातान्यन्नेन वर्धन्ते आद्यतेऽत्ति च भूतानि तस्मादन्नं तदुच्यत इति तस्माद्वा एतस्मादन्नरसमयात् अन्योऽन्तर आत्मा प्राणमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य प्राण एव शिरः व्यानो दक्षिणः पक्षः अपान उत्तरः पक्षः आकाश आत्मा पृथिवी पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति। प्राणं देवाः अनुप्राणन्ति मनुष्याः पशवश्च ये प्राणो हि भूतानामायुः तस्मात् सर्वायुषमुच्यते सर्वमेव त आयुर्यन्ति ये प्राणं ब्रह्मोपासते प्राणो हि भूतानामायुः तस्मात् सर्वायुषमुच्यत इति तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य एतस्मात् प्राणमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मा मनोमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य यजुरेव शिरः ऋग्दक्षिणः पक्षः सामोत्तरः पक्षः आदेश आत्मा अथर्वाङ्गिरसः पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति यतो वाचो निवर्तन्ते अप्राप्य मनसा सह आनन्दं ब्रह्मणो विद्वान् न बिभेति कदाचनेति तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य तस्माद्वा एतस्मात् मनोमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मा विज्ञानमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य श्रद्धैव शिरः ऋतं दक्षिणः पक्षः सत्यमुत्तरः पक्षः योग आत्मा महः पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति विज्ञानं यज्ञं तनुते कर्माणि तनुतेऽपि च विज्ञानं देवाः सर्वे ब्रह्मज्येष्ठमुपासते विज्ञानं ब्रह्म चेद्वेद तस्माच्चेन्न प्रमाद्यति शरीरे पाप्मनो हित्वा सर्वान् कामान् समश्नुत इति तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य तस्माद्वा एतस्माद् विज्ञानमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मानन्दमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य प्रियमेव शिरः मोदो दक्षिणः पक्षः प्रमोद उत्तरः पक्षः आनन्द आत्मा ब्रह्मपुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति असन्नेव स भवति असद्ब्रह्मेति वेद चेत् अस्ति ब्रह्मेति चेद्वेद सन्तमेनन्ततो विदुरिति तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य अथातोऽनुप्रश्नाः उत विद्वानमुल्लोकं प्रेत्य कश्चन गच्छति आहो विद्वानमुल्लोकं प्रेत्य कश्चित् समश्नुता शोकामयता बहुस्यां प्रजायेति सदपोतप्यता सदपस्तप्त्वा इदं सर्वमसृजत यदिदं किञ्च तत्सृष्ट्वा तदेवानुप्राविशत् तदनुप्रविश्य सच्चत्यच्चाभवत् निरुक्तञ्च निरुक्तञ्च निलयनञ्च निलयनञ्च विज्ञानञ्च विज्ञानञ्च सत्यञ्च नृतञ्च सत्यमभवत् यदिदं किञ्च तत्सत्यमित्याचक्षते असत्येष श्लोको भवति असद्वा इदमग्र आसीत् ततो वै सदजायत तदात्मानः स्वयमकुरुत तस्मात् तत् सुकृतमुच्यत इति यद्वै तत् सुकृतं रसो वै सः रसगुह्येवायं लब्ध्वा न भवति को ह्येवान्यात् कः प्राण्यात् यदेष आकाश आनन्दो न स्यात् एष ह्येवानन्दयाति यदा ह्येवैष एतस्मिन्न दृश्येन मे निरुक्ते निलयने भयं ष्ठां विन्दते अथ सोभयं गतो भवति एवैष एतस्मिन्नुदरमन्तरं कुरुते अथ तस्य भयं भवति तत्त्वेव भयं विदुषो मन्वानस्य तदप्येष श्लोको भवति भीषास्माद्वा पवते भीषोदेति सूर्यः भीषास्मादग्निश्चेन्द्रश्च मृत्युर्धावति पञ्चम इति सैषानन्दस्य मीमागुं भवति युवा स्यात् साधु युवा ध्यायिका आशिष्ठो दृढिष्ठो बलिष्ठः कस्येयं पृथिवी सर्वा वित्तस्य पूर्णा स्यात्
स एको मानुष
आनन्दः ते ये शतं मानुष आनन्दाः स एको मनुष्य गन्धर्व मानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं मनुष्य गन्धर्वाणामानन्दाः स एको देवगन्धर्वाणामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं गन्धर्वाणामानन्दाः स एकः पितॄणां चिरलोकलोकानानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं पितॄणां चिरलोकलोकानामानन्दाः स एक आजानजानान्दे नामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य देवानामानन्दाः स एकः कर्मदेवानां देवानामानन्दः ये कर्मणा देवानभियन्ति श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं कर्म देवानामानन्दाः देवानामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं देवानामानन्दाः स एक इन्द्रस्यानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतमिन्द्रस्यानन्दाः स एको बृहस्पतिरानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं बृहस्पतिरानन्दाः स एकः प्रजापतिरानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य ते ये शतं प्रजापतिरानन्दाः स एको ब्रह्मण आनन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य स यश्चायं पुरुषे यश्च सावादित्ये स एकः स य एवं विद् अस्माल्लोकात् प्रेत्य एतमन्नमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं प्राणमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं मनोमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं विज्ञानमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतमानन्दमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति तदप्येष श्लोको भवति यतो वाचो निवर्तन्ते अप्राप्य मनसा सह आनन्दं ब्रह्मणो विद्वान् न बिभेति कुतश्च नेति एतगुं हवावनतपति किमहगुं साधुना करवं किमहं पापमकरवमिति स य एवं विद्वानेते आत्मगुस्पृणुते उभे स एते आत्मानगुस्पृणुते य एवं वेद उपनिषद् सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all very much for coming down today, and thank you very, very much for the chanting. That was wonderful, and the great vibrations. I mean, we all enjoyed it much. And today, this is the final day of Swamiji's 3-day program in Denver, and today he'll be talking about sadhanas. So, Swamiji, please take it up.
Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be back here again. I think a little here, maybe. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. All right. That should do. Yeah. People at the back, can you hear me? Yeah. Last row. What a wonderful chanting. And some of you might be going, yeah, if only we knew what was being said there. It is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, and it's a beautiful selection because that's the text I was using for my talks. The first talk which I gave in Broomfield and the second one yesterday. I can't resist saying something about it, what you just heard. The Upanishads are the root texts of Vedanta. In fact, the root texts of Hinduism, you can say that. And among the Upanishads, one of the foremost is the Taittiriya Upanishad. This is from the Yajurveda, right? Yajurveda? Right. It is from the Shukla Yajurveda. No, Krishna Yajurveda. It's a Yagyavalkya, Krishna Yajurveda, yeah. So, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, you find 3 chapters basically. They're called Valli, 3 chapters. Siksha Valli and Brahmananda Valli and Bhrigu Valli. So what they just chanted was the second chapter, Brahmananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad. The meaning of the title is also very indicative, evocative. It means the bliss of the absolute. So that's what they were talking about. They were chanting here. It's in ancient Vedic Sanskrit. They took about 10 minutes to chant, little less than 10 minutes to chant the whole thing, a little more than 10 minutes. I was just thinking, calculating, if I were to explain what was chanted there, it would take 9 to 10 hours. About 9 to 10 lectures would be required, even just to give a general idea of what was chanted. It's so packed, so deep and profound. But I can't resist giving you an outline. Don't worry, not 9 to 10 hours, just a few minutes before we go into the main subject of today's talk. The first line they chanted was Brahma vidapnoti param. The knower of the absolute attains the highest. Brahman is the absolute. There is an ultimate reality. If you realize that, then you attain the goal of human life, the goal of existence itself. And actually, the rest of the chapter from there till the very end, what they chanted is an explanation, a commentary on that one line. So that first line can be called is the Sutra Vakya, like the formula which has to be expanded across all of which they chanted. So what is this absolute? And the Upanishad tells us, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The absolute is infinite existence and consciousness. And I explained that. You saw it took more than 1 hour in Broomfield to explain that one little sentence. And then the Upanishad goes on to say, what does it mean to know the absolute? How can you know the absolute? It gives a detailed, beautiful teaching, which is called Pancha Kosha Vichara, the analysis of the 5 sheets or the 5 levels of the human personality, which is what we talked about yesterday. So several passages after that, they deal with this technique, step by step, starting with the body. Our attention is directed ever inwards into subtler and subtler dimensions of our being, none of which is speculative. That's the beauty of Vedanta. They're not talking about theories. They're talking about what exists right now, yet we miss it all the time. So a skillful teacher, like the sage of the Upanishad, directs our attention step by step, subtler and subtler, inward into what's already there right now, and shows us that we are not the body, the outermost layer of the personality, the Annamaya Kosha. We are not the vitality, life forces, Pranamaya Kosha. We are not even the mind and the person we think we were, Manomaya Kosha. Then we are not even the intellect. Then it goes further into what is called the sheath of bliss. We are not even that. Then the Upanishad keeps silent. We discussed this yesterday. And the student thinks that, so the ultimate self, the absolute within, it's not there. He was supposed to reveal it to us. And the teacher says, Asanneva sabhavati, asad brahma iti veda chet. The person who thinks that the ultimate is not there, the absolute does not exist, that person himself will not exist, because in the Upanishadic scheme of things, the ultimate reality, there is an ultimate reality, and it's you. It's us. It's our own inner reality. If that does not exist, it means we don't exist. But obviously, we do exist. So then it points out that how to realize that ultimate reality. I'm not going to talk about that. We talked about it yesterday. Then it goes further. Then there is something called Anupravesha Vakya. It talks in very poetic terms how that one absolute came to be manifested as this universe and as us. Tat srishtva tadeva anupravishat, having projected the entire universe, that absolute entered into the universe. So having appeared in this way, that absolute is existing right here. Our real self, what is called God in religion, that real self is right here. That's called the Anupravesha Vakya. That means how God comes to be immanent within its creation, especially within us. I remember Shankaracharya, who wrote a wonderful commentary, non-dualistic commentary on Taittiriya Upanishad. He spends a long time on that one sentence. Having created this universe and this human body-mind system, the absolute entered into it. And Shankaracharya writes there, Etat Chintyam, this is something to be thought about. And you know, when he says that, you are in trouble. Because as it is, his commentary is very profound. And when he says, this thing is profound, we need to drill down deep on it, goes page after page. Where exactly, in what sense is the absolute present here? Then it goes, Upanishad goes further, it's something called the Anuprashnaha. I think about 7 pointers to the absolute are given. Some people say 7 proofs of the existence of Brahman, but they're not proofs in the normal sense of arguments. They are more like pointers. And very beautiful poetry. It goes like this. Kah pranyat, kah anyat, yadi esha akasha anandanasya. Who could breathe in and who could breathe out if this sky full of bliss were not there? And the absolute is, look at the words used for the absolute. Ananda akasha, the sky of bliss. Imagine a universe filled with bliss. So if this were not there, who could even breathe in once and breathe out once? That's just one of the pointers. Then it goes on to a beautiful calculation of bliss, ananda, happiness. What I like to call the Vedantic theory of happiness. Ananda Mimam, so that's the conclusion. It shows we all seek happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction in life. How does that happen? How do we get happiness? I'm not going into that again. That would be like 1 to 2 hours. And it is a calculation of happiness. It talks about the maximum possible human happiness you can think about. Just think about it. What's the happiest possible life typically one can imagine? Conceive of a person, it says young. Unfortunately, they're a little ageist. They think that it's young people are naturally happy, and you have to really struggle to be happy the older you get. So you have to be young, you have to be really, really rich, you have to be very well educated, adhyayakah syat. You have to be a good person with nobility and morals and high aims in life, and so on. And imagine this person, how happy this person would be. And it calls it the 1 unit of happiness. And then it shows how one can be happier. And there's a scale of happiness. 10 times happier than that, 100 times happier, 1,000 times happier, 10,000 times happier, and like that it goes on. If that intrigues you, go and look it up. I'm not going to explain it. And I sat down and calculated how much happiness can they talk about. Starting from that one superbly happy human being, they go up to a kind of heavenly happiness they talk about. And I calculated how much is that. That's 10 to the power 20 times the happiness of that one supremely happy human being. If you actually try to imagine, don't imagine. Somebody said, if I try to imagine Swami, I'm going to die. And then it says, there it drops a bombshell. It says that happiness and infinitely more is within us all the time. We don't access it. It is possible to realize that within us right now, right here. And that's how it ends. So it's called the Bliss of Brahman chapter. You really want to understand it? 10 hours, at least. Now, what I'm going to speak about today is lower than such stratospheric levels. Some down-to-earth stuff, practical stuff in our lives. You see, Shankaracharya points out, Vedanta says, we are this Brahman. We only think of ourselves as bodies and minds. And you can realize yourself as Brahman. The only problem is, question would be that if I am that Brahman, why don't I feel it? Why don't I see it? Why don't I experience it? Vedanta goes so far as to say, you are actually feeling it and experiencing it. You just don't recognize it. There's a classic story which Swami Vivekananda used to tell of the lion cub which thought it was a lamb or sheep. A lioness dies giving birth to a cub, and there are some sheep around, and the cub grows up with the sheep, bleating and eating grass and thinking it was a sheep, not knowing it was a lion. And one day there's another lion which is hunting and sees this flock of sheep and a huge lion in the middle of them eating grass and bleating. So this hunting lion is intrigued. It creeps up behind them. All the other sheep run away. Before this lion sheep could run away, the other lion comes and catches it. And this poor thing, it bleats and says, let me go, I'm scared, you're scaring me. And this other lion drags him to the side of a pool and says, look in there, what I am, that you are. Basically, it's the Vedantic Mahavakya, the Guru telling the student, that Tattvamasi, what I am, that you are. And this lion realizes, oh, I'm a lion. So the so-called sheep becomes a lion because already it was a lion. We are like that. We are already Brahman, but somehow we have fooled ourselves into thinking we are these bodies and minds. So our only problem, according to Vedanta, is ignorance. We don't know. Okay, then what is the solution? The solution to any kind of ignorance is knowledge. I don't know physics? Well, good. Enroll yourself in a class and learn physics. Then the ignorance about physics will be removed. I don't know that I am Brahman. You don't know that you are Brahman, the absolute? Well, good. Enroll yourself in a class and find out. It's a little more to it than that. So the solution to this ignorance, according to Vedanta, is knowledge. Then what is the method? The method is, in Vedanta, triple. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. You must study this, listen to these truths from a teacher, preferably an enlightened one, and then you must think deeply about it. Ask questions. critical questions so that you can understand. Leave no stone unturned. Find out and understand till clarity comes. One sadhu in Uttarakhand said to me once, in Sanatana Dharma, there are two ways. There are only two ways. Jano ya mano. Jano means know it, understand it. Or if you cannot, if it's still not possible, then a secondary way is believe it. Normally we think, especially in this country, in the United States, religion is called a faith. And that's a little troublesome for an Indian because faith simply means that you believe something. But the way you look at Vedanta, it's not just believing, it's understanding and realizing. Actually realizing in experience and in understanding a clarity about who or what we are. Now, second step is reflecting. First is hearing, studying. Second step is reflecting, questioning, thinking about it till you get clarity. Once clarity is done, you get clarity, then you meditate upon it. Nididhyasana means Vedantic meditation. By meditation, what you have understood, what you heard, what you understood, now becomes a living fact. You are enlightened and you realize you are Brahman. You are an enlightened being, a Jivan Mukta. So far, so good. But right now, a lot of us will be thinking, yeah, right, I've been listening to so many of these talks and I've been thinking about it. Maybe I do get it also, but I don't think I consider myself to be enlightened in any real sense. Why is it not working? What's gone wrong? Now Vedanta says there is a second layer of problems. First layer, ignorance. Second layer, underlying layer, it is called distraction of the mind or scatteredness of the mind. In Sanskrit, ignorance is called ajnana, ignorance. Distraction of mind is called vikshepa. Vikshepa means a scattered mind. Yes, you are studying. Yes, you are listening. You may even understand in a certain way. But until the mind is tremendously focused and it assimilates what it has heard, until that time what you have heard will not become a living truth for you. So concentration of mind, focus of mind is very important. So the second level of problems is distraction of mind, and the solution to that problem is concentration or focus of mind. What is the method? Method is meditation or upasana, to be distinguished from what I said earlier, Vedantic meditation. That's at the end of understanding Vedanta. But here, the meditation is to focus the mind, to develop our powers of concentration. Swami Vivekananda once said, the difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in the degree of concentration. I did not quite, get it. I thought that that's not all. There's so many other differences. But I realized over the years, I met people who are exceptionally successful in their fields. Not just monks, but also in other fields. And one common thing I saw among all of them, creative people, artists, scientists, whatever field they are, monks, spiritual practitioners. One distinguishing characteristic was the enormous focus they could bring to bear upon what they are doing. So focus is necessary. What is the method? Upasana, meditation. There is a wide range of meditation technologies available to us, today especially. Somebody said it's a supermarket of spirituality out there. So you just have to Google it on your internet and you see meditation techniques, there is no end to it. One thing which surprises people who come for the first time to the United States and surprised me was when you go to a store, the number of varieties of each product, cereals, row after row after row of cereals. In the same way, meditation techniques also, especially in India where these things have been cultivated for thousands of years, you would expect a variety of techniques have come up. So there are many, many types of techniques. But the purpose which Vedanta wants from all those meditation techniques is the ability to focus and assimilate what you are learning. All right, I do practice meditation, but we feel like scratching your head and saying, what happens if I meditate? I either fall asleep or I'm distracted. I look here and there. Meditation is not working. All the deep meditative states that we hear about, read about, yogis and lamas attaining, seems to be very far away from me. I struggle with my meditation, we say. Then Vedanta says there is a third layer of problems. And I promise this is the last layer. So, the third layer of problems. If you're thinking what were the first two? The first layer was ignorance. Method of solution is knowledge. And the methodology is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Hearing, reflection and meditation upon those truths. The second layer of problems was distraction. The solution was focus. And the method was a variety of meditation techniques. In Sanskrit, it's called upasana. Then there's a third layer of problems, why meditation does not work. The third layer of problems is called impurities of mind. In Sanskrit, chitta mala, impurities of mind, or chitta. So the impurities of mind composed of various desires, all the trash that we have dumped into the mind, not only in this life, many lives past. You see, when we eat, we are so careful. None of us would put our hands into a dumpster and bring out rotting food and put it in your mouth. You'd have an upset stomach immediately. We're so careful about food and hygiene. But we are not so careful about what we dump into our minds. Through our eyes and ears, and especially eyes and ears, we get things from the world and indiscriminately pour it into the mind. No wonder the mind is upset. So, purity of mind. The mind has to be purified. They say among the monks, polishing the mirror. One way they greet monks sometimes, I have never heard it myself, but they do this. They ask you, Darpan saaf hai Mahatma ji? Is the mirror clear, O monk? So polishing the mirror, clearing the dirt that we have dumped into our minds. How do you know that there's dirt in the mind? The very fact that you cannot focus. That means there are a lot of distractions in the mind. Strong likes and dislikes. Greed, lust, anger, kama, krodha, lobha. If these are strong, then I know that my mind has impurities from which these are arising. So what is the solution for impurities? Chitta Shuddhi. What kids call here, no-brainer. Purity. Impurity is a problem, the solution is impurity. How do you do that? One powerful way is called Karma Yoga. Transform our activities into spiritual practice. I'll go deeper into this, but now let me put this matrix I have drawn. Let me make it clear in our minds. Like I'm writing on a board, it should be as clear as that. 3 levels of problems, 3 levels of solutions, and 3 methodologies. Problem, first, the highest level of problem, the subtlest, innermost level of problem, ignorance. We don't know who we are. Solution, knowledge. What knowledge? Not knowledge about physics, chemistry, or Sanskrit, or English. No, knowledge about ourselves, which the Vedanta can give us. How do you get that knowledge? Method, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Hearing, study, study or hearing, reflection and meditation. Second level is problem, distraction of mind. In Sanskrit, vikshepa. Solution, focus. In Sanskrit, ekagrata. Method, in Sanskrit, upasana, or in English, meditation techniques. Third level of problem, impurity of mind. In Sanskrit, chitta mala. Solution, purity of mind. In Sanskrit, chitta shuddhi. Method, one powerful method, majorly powerful method is karma. Karma yoga. Basically, which is unselfish acts of goodness and many other things, ritualistic worship also, all of it is included. So this is the framework. Now remember, this framework is the framework given in a particular system. And this is called the system of Advaita Vedanta. Not all teachers will give this framework. This is the framework given by Shankaracharya. Framework for what? For sadhana, spiritual practice. Right? So, knowledge is the goal. And for that, meditation and also work are also necessary. They are necessary to prepare us for that knowledge. So this is the structure given by Shankaracharya. Let me make one more point before I go into the actual practices. Okay, we have time. If you go to other teachers, different systems, you will get different structures. So for example, if you go to the Vishishtadvaita system, the Sri Vaishnava system, Ramanujacharya. This is 1000 years of Ramanujacharya, this year now, 1001 years now. Ramanuja will tell you, instead of karma upasana jnana, that means at the base is karma yoga, higher than that is meditation, and higher than that is knowledge. Ramanuja will tell you bhakti is the highest. The first is work, karma, then will be jnana, and then will be bhakti. So bhakti is put on the top by Ramanuja, and also by Madhva. So depending upon the tradition, parampara, the structure will change. But the structure which I gave you is a pretty good structure, pretty neat structure, and it is very useful for understanding Shankaracharya. If you are reading the bhashyas of Shankaracharya, the commentaries, it's good to keep this structure in mind. Because at some point, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna tells Arjuna to do his duty, and Shankara will go on how work is necessary. Without work, you cannot become spiritual. The next moment, Shankara will say, you cannot get liberation by work, not by karma, only by knowledge. You should keep that structure in mind. What is the structure? Work, karma yoga, gives you purity of mind. With a pure mind, if you meditate, you will get concentration of mind. With a pure and concentrated mind, if you come to these teachings of Vedanta, you get illumination. So that structure is always foremost in Shankara's mind when he is teaching, when he is writing the commentaries. Now, I will not give details of the practices. That is, all our literature is there for that. What is the practice of Jnana Yoga? What is the practice of Dhyana? What is the practice of Bhakti? What is the practice of Karma Yoga? But let me just delineate. Karma Yoga, let's start at the base. And as far as meditation is concerned, the second level, just keep this structure in mind. Karma, Upasana, Jnana. In fact, the Vedas are divided in that way. We normally say Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, but Karma Kanda itself is divided into Karma and Upasana. So the Vedas have, the scriptures have actually three portions. One dealing with rituals, actions, the other one dealing with meditations, Vedic meditations, and then the final one dealing with philosophy or knowledge. Let's start with the karma. We all act, we all do something, and these actions have their results. And the way of thinking in Indian philosophy is, we are bound by the results of our actions. Karma gives karma phala, and that gives us the experiences of life. Good karma, happy life. Good things happen to you. Bad karma, nasty things happen to us. So Vivekananda put it this way: good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. But whosoever wears a form wears the chain too. What is the chain? The law of karma. Good karma. The equation is this, the law is this. Dharma leads to punya, and punya leads to sukha. In English, good action, moral action, ethical action leads to merit, and merit leads to happiness. Happiness means worldly kind of happiness. Adharma, consciously done unethical action, evil action done consciously, leads to papa, which is demerit. And demerit results in dukkha, suffering. So if you are having a very good time of it all, the things are going just fine, then all your punya, your merits are being used up. Nothing to be very happy about. You are spending your credit. If you are having a bad time, rough time, one little consolation could be all the demerits are getting exhausted. The bad karma is getting exhausted by suffering. So anyway, that's the law of karma. Now, this is something very common. One Swami said something very interesting, He said, look at all the schools of Hinduism. So much differences. Some are worshippers of Vishnu, some of Shiva, some of Devi or Ganesha. Some do not worship God with form, some do not worship God with images. Some are the schools of Hinduism like Sankhya, which are not theistic at all. They don't even talk about God. Across all the schools of Hinduism, this much is common. Law of karma and rebirth. Karmavada and punarjanma. This is accepted by all Hindus. Not only all Hindus, all Buddhists. Here is a religion and a philosophy which denies the existence of any permanent God, eternal God, which denies the existence of any eternal soul. and yet karma and rebirth are accepted by Buddhism. All Buddhist schools, not only in India, in others, in Tibet, China and Japan, all of them. Not only Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. So all the Indic schools, all the different religions and schools of philosophy in India, they accept law of karma and punarjanma, rebirth. That's why the Swami said, "Ye bhari gambhir tattva hai." One Swami said, one teacher was telling us, this is a very profound principle, law of karma. Now, how do you deal with the law of karma? You can't escape, you can't run away from it. Swami Vivekananda said, learn to work the machine so that it sets you free. You can't run away from it. How do you work the machine? The first level is to avoid unethical karma and do ethical karma. That means one may work for one's own sake. One may work to fulfill one's own desires. But that should be within the limits of dharma. The Indian system was dharma artha kama. You may pursue pleasure. You may pursue wealth and success in life, but within the limits of morality and ethics, dharma. That's still a worldly life, but a decent worldly life. One makes the transition to spirituality as more and more of one's action becomes for the benefit of others rather than for the pursuit of, pleasure and wealth. So when sakama karma is transformed into nishkama karma, karma with desire is transformed into karma without personal motive, with desire for personal gain. Then it becomes karma yoga. Karma becomes karma yoga. And one begins that base level which Shankaracharya talks about for purifying the mind, karma yoga. One doesn't have to be a monk or to do any of this. Krishna taught this to Arjuna. Neither were monks. And it was taught in a battlefield, not an ashram, not even a temple. So it is something to be practiced by everybody. Karma yoga begins when we have, what one Swami told me was, disinterested action. You see, often a question comes, if I don't have any motive, why should I do anything? It should get me something. Otherwise, why should I do anything? So this Swami, I asked this monk many years ago in Delhi, in Ramakrishna Mission there, how can one act without any kind of motive? The Swami said to me, listen, I still remember, short sentence, listen my boy, disinterested action, not uninterested action. If you look in the English dictionary, there are two meanings of this word, interested. One is, you like doing it, you find it fun, you want to do it, it's fulfilling, so you have an interest in it. The other meaning of interest is a motive, an ulterior motive. You say interested party. So disinterested action means I am doing the action, I am doing work with full energy, enthusiasm, joy, but I don't have any personal worldly gain to look for it from it. Uninterested action is I don't get anything from it, let me do it somehow. Yeah. There's a term we use in India, chalta hai, somehow into it. So that is not karma yoga. Karma yoga has to be done beautifully. So a very good model is the puja that you do. When you do a puja, when the priest performs a puja, does it with all sanctity, with all reverence, with concentration, focus, and yet is not doing it directly for any personal gain at that point. Imagine doing all your work like that. Work in the office, work in the family, converting not only ritualistic worship into karma yoga, but also our daily action into karma yoga. Both Vaidika and Laukika in Vedantic terms. Vaidika means ritualistic action enjoined by the Vedas. But Laukika means cooking and driving and working in the office and teaching and taking care of your daily routine and all of that worldly action. All of that can be and should be spiritualized. So that spirituality does not become a 1 hour affair in the morning and 1 hour struggling to meditate in the end of the day and feeling sleepy. That kind of spirituality, it's not bad, but it won't take you far. I remember this funny incident which happened. I was just mentioning a few days ago to my hosts. Somebody once asked me, what are the top 5 strangest places you have given lectures in. One of them was at the security checkpoint of an airport. I was passing through Lucknow airport in India at that time. It was a late night transit flight, and I was the only person on there. And the security people, like here you have TSA in America. They have CISF, Central Industrial Security Force. So they check you. And I was the only person there, so all their attention was focused on me. And there was this policeman. In India, what they do is they go through a scanner and stand on a little wooden box, and they'll frisk you. So I went there, and of course I was dressed in this way. And he realized immediately I was a monk. So this policeman, he says, "Tell us something, give us a talk, a spiritual talk." I said, I had 11 o'clock in an airport security checkpoint. He said, yeah, tell us. And then he called the other policemen and policewomen there. And so they stood around me with guns and stuff. They are armed. Give us a talk. You can't refuse. So I was thinking, what do I say? And I said to the policeman there in Hindi, "Aap ghar se nikalne se pehle puja karke nikalte hain. Do you worship? Do you do some kind of worship before you come to your job?" Remember, it is UP, Uttar Pradesh. So many people are devotees of Lord Hanuman, Anjaneya there. So this gentleman was a very nice, simple person. He said, "Yeah, yes, of course. I put flowers at the feet of Lord Hanuman before I come out here." And then I said, "Look, the work that you do throughout the day, the several hours, checking hundreds of people, maybe thousands, consider it as a worship of Lord Hanuman. Consider it as a worship of God. So as a person comes in front of you, do your job. Check that person, be firm, be polite, be thorough, and mentally, in your mind, offer one more flower at the feet of Lord Hanuman." Mentally, one person done, offer a flower at the feet of Lord Hanuman. And that person was so happy, a very simple, very nice person. He burst out in joy. He said, "Arey wah, din bhar Hanuman ji ka puja. Wonderful. Whole day I will be doing puja of Lord Hanuman." Yes, and nobody would need know, but your mind will be on God. So this is converting daily action, whatever work you are doing, into worship. Work into worship. That's karma yoga. Shankara's point of view is that purifies the mind, the chitta shuddhi. With a pure mind, when you sit down for meditation, in whatever meditation technique you practice, concentration comes very fast. A monk in the Himalayas once told me, not told me particularly, told everybody, samadhi, the deepest meditative absorption, it's easy. Samadhi asan hai, Mahatma ji. Samadhi is easy. I'll give you samadhi in 2 minutes. Nowadays you have just crash courses. 7 days samadhi. Yes. Usually a lot of dollars are required for those courses. But this Swami said, in 2 minutes you will get samadhi. Oh, how? The condition is come with a purified mind. Shart hai ki chitta shuddha hona chahiye. Now that is the problem then. So with a purified mind, when one sits down to meditate, mind gets concentrated very deeply. Nowadays, a lot of work is going on this. Daniel Goleman, you have heard, he became famous by writing that book on emotional intelligence, EQ. Recently, the book which he has written recently is called Focus. I heard a talk by him, not live, on this YouTube, I think. He said that over the last few years, I have become more and more concerned about the problem of attention. Lot of teachers and parents are telling me that this next generation which is coming up, which is a generation born in a digital environment, very comfortable with the digital world, they have less powers of attention. That means they can concentrate, but only for much shorter duration. And flickering attention. It jumps from one thing to another very fast. And they demand engagement all the time. So they are worried. Parents are worried, teachers are worried. Even now slowly, college professors and employers, ultimately they will be going into the workforce also. Employers are also worried. So what to do? And Daniel Goleman said that's why he studied the whole problem and he wrote this book, Focus. It's worth reading, his findings and the solutions he he has brought forward. Meditation has a big role to play in that. How one learns to direct one's attention. I remember reading this person who wrote a book, Winifred Gallagher, I think. She wrote a book called Rapt. Rapt means absorbed. It was a book on attention. And she said, the quality of our life depends on what we pay attention to and how much attention we pay. What are you thinking about? And how much are you thinking about that? And she got that understanding while suffering from cancer, and she finally could not take it anymore. She said that, why should I spend my time thinking about the pain and the chemotherapy and the medical insurance and all the trouble I am in? It will not go away. Let me use my limited cognitive capacity to think about my art, my writing, my work. And she said within a short time, she made a determined effort, propelled by suffering. Within a short time, she said the quality of my life is actually, I can say, it's better now than it was before cancer. Why? Because the quality of life depends on how we experience it, how we perceive it, not so much what our external conditions are. It's our subjective perception. And the subjective perception depends a lot on what you think about. Which part of your life are you thinking about? The bad parts, the painful parts, the humiliating, miserable parts, or the achievement, the peaceful, the joyful, the sublime parts of your life? Say, well, I don't have any sublime part. Of course you do. The sky there is sublime. The air you breathe is sublime. This temple is sublime. The joy of friends, of human company, or of solitude. So much we are surrounded by this. Of course we have it. So what you think about? I'm reminded of the poet, Milton, Paradise Lost. He says, the mind in its own place can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. The mind by itself can transform heaven into hell. And the same mind can itself transform hell into heaven. Not by changing external things, those will also change in time, but by changing your whole attitude, perception of that thing. So focus, the second stage, meditation is very important. Here I would like to refer to Bhakti. You will notice I have not brought it in so far. In the Vedas, Bhakti was at the stage of Upasana, where the worship of deities was taught there. But over the centuries, from Puranic Hinduism times, for last maybe 2000 or more years, Bhakti has been a central practice of Hinduism. In fact, the professor of religion, Jack Hawley, who's in Columbia University, he says that is the real Hinduism. By real Hinduism, he means, what do majority of Hindus practice? How many Hindus do Vedic rituals anymore? Very few. How many Hindus take up Vedantic philosophy as their central practice? Very few. Most Hindus, when they are religious or spiritual, they have a major component of Bhakti. So what is Bhakti? What are its advantages? I would like to mention this here. One great thing to know and a little problematic about the path of knowledge is what is called the entry conditions. There are certain entry conditions. The path of knowledge will work if and only if certain conditions are fulfilled. What are those conditions? Every Vedanta student memorizes them at the very beginning. Sadhan Chatushta Sampanno Pramata Adhikari. The person qualified for Vedanta is a person who has got these four qualifications. What are these qualifications? Viveka first. The ability, the insight that there is an eternal reality and the world is non-eternal. Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. It's just a kind of like a working hypothesis. You feel that there is something to spirituality and it's worth having. That's one. Second, Vairagya. That a dispassion for what you consider to be non-eternal. A dispassion for all the so-called pleasurable pursuits in this world. I don't want. I have experienced it, has not brought me peace and joy, has not helped me to overcome suffering. So these are not what I am primarily seeking. One must not misunderstand. If you are a spiritual seeker who is in the world, you are working, of course you'll get your salary. You've got a family, of course you've got to look after your family. It doesn't mean that you will stop all those activities. Remember, Arjuna was encouraged by Krishna to go on with his activities, but spiritualize it. So, Vairagya, dispassion. Then comes the third qualification. And the third one has 6 components. So you see, secretly a lot has been packed into it. The 6 components are Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Samadhana, then Shraddha. So 6. What are these 6? So it gets stuffier, the going gets stuffier. Shama is mental calmness. Vedanta is not going to work if I'm mentally broken and I'm traumatized, if I'm continuously distracted and engaged in the world. Vedanta is not going to work. It's too delicate and too subtle. So a kind of mental quietness, mental control is necessary. Inner control. Dhammaha, control of our external organs. So the eye wants to see many things. Vedanta means you have to curtail a little bit of that sightseeing. Little bit at least, curtail it, restrain it. The tongue wants to taste many things. Again, bring a little bit under control. The legs want to go there, visit many places. You have to bring that a little bit under. External activities have to be curtailed and reduced because they disturb the mind. They scatter the mind. They have to be reduced. Dhammaha, control of the organs, sense organs and the motor organs also. Some control at least. Then comes Titiksha. I'll come to Uparati later. Titiksha. Titiksha is forbearance, patience, the ability to hold on to something. You see, in fact, I'm reminded of Daniel Goleman. He said one character, emotional intelligence. He talks about emotional intelligence. One component of emotional intelligence is the ability to hold on to something to motivate oneself, internal motivation, in spite of external pressures and external problems. To keep on doing what you are doing. So I am going to pursue Vedanta until I become enlightened. Now, putting up with problems. Physical illness might be there. Weather problems might be there. It's raining. Oh, it's raining. I thought I'll go and listen to the talk, but it's raining. Okay, let it be. You wouldn't do that for your job. You don't turn up for your job like that for a couple of times, you'll lose your job. So we put up with so much trouble for our worldly ends. For holding a job, for raising a family, we put up with so much trouble. In fact, what is asked for in Vedanta is less than that. But you have to put up with some kind of worldly troubles in order to keep on pursuing. Titiksha. In fact, Shankaracharya says, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam in Vivek Chodamani. Put up with all kinds of worldly afflictions without reaction, He literally says, without trying to put them right, but one must be careful here. Forbearance. In fact, it's written there, saburi. Saburi means patience in spiritual life. That strength which helps you to hold on to spiritual practices till the end of your life. I remember, I was in the hospital once. I was a young monk. I had just been in the order for 1 year. But I got jaundice and I was admitted in the hospital. And that hospital, there was a ward for monks. All the other patients were old monks, very senior, old, dying. Now I thought, I'm sick, so I need not do the morning meditation. I can lie. Exempted. Nobody exempted me, I exempted myself. After all, in a hospital bed, just a little bit I repeat the mantra and lie down quietly enough. I was very sick actually. To my amazement, there was a monk in the bed in front. He had an operation the day before. Next day, he had already recovered from anesthesia. Very old person, in his late 70s, I think. Early morning, before sunrise, I see this monk is sitting up, facing the wall, absolutely straight like this. 2 to 3 hours he sat there. Steady. Why? Lifelong practice. pain, illness, this will come and go. One day the body will also go away. Why should I give up my practice for that? It's a big lesson for me. Titiksha, hold on to this. But a little caution here. Always use common sense. I'll give you 2 examples. 2 monks I knew, young monks. I used to teach them. One of them was very, I will bear with anything, any kind of trouble. And, like tapasya, the spirit of intense mental strength. I will not flinch. So he had a pain in his leg. I told him to get it treated. He said, no. Titiksha, I'm forbearing. Patience. Now what happened after some time is, he's sitting in class, but continuously flexing it. It's hurting. He's flexing his leg this way and that way. Then finally I saw him in the morning meditation, sitting there for meditation. But everybody sitting in the lotus posture or half lotus posture. He is sitting like this with one leg. He can't fold it anymore. It's hurting so much. Now I said, see, the whole point of forbearing, Titiksha, is to enable you to do your spiritual practices. If you don't get it treated, it is harming your spiritual practices. So a little bit of common sense is required here. Need medicine, need treatment, go and have it. Don't bother again about it. Opposite example, just the opposite. Another young monk whom I was teaching. See, these are examples to apply in our own life. So another young monk whom I was teaching, same problem. He had a tummy ache, some pain in the stomach. And we got it checked by different doctors. He tried this Ayurvedic medicine and homeopathic medicine and allopathic medicine. Nothing seemed to work. And he became thin and skinny, and he's worrying that he's unable to eat because pain will come. He's worried about it. And what will happen? Then I have to go to this doctor or that doctor. Finally I told him, he's a very good monk. Very, very good monk, very sincere person. I told him, see, you're trying all kinds of treatment. We are also trying to find out what is wrong and what can be done. Now leave it to God and concentrate on God. Concentrate on your spiritual practices, on your studies, not on your stomach. So he accepted that advice. And luckily, 1 year later, he sent a letter to me. He was in another part of India. He said it has been cured. After that time, I did not think about it. Treatment is going on. What doctor said, I was doing that. But I was thinking about God, not about my stomach. So this is common sense. All of these are meant to help us in spiritual practice. Don't be fanatical about any of them. Don't be too loose about any of them either. Titiksha. Uparati. Uparati. Rati means enjoyment in the senses. Uparati means reverse. Pull it back from the senses so that you can focus within. Samadhana. Samadhana again means concentration. Once you have withdrawn from the world, little bit, you have cut down external activities. Your friends will say, oh, mummy is no fun anymore. She has become a religious nut or something. Well, good, let it be so. One must mature at some time in life. Once you have withdrawn your little bit from external engagements to some extent, then you will have more time, more energy. Use that to focus within. What will you do with that time and energy? Focus within. Samadhana. Samadhana means settledness. Settledness in what? Settledness in spiritual practice, settledness in Vedanta. Then the next one is Shraddha. Shraddha is a faith. Immediately people will think, oh, blind belief. Not blind belief. Here are these texts which are telling me that I am Brahman. If you realize that, you will transcend suffering. Here are the teachers telling me that. Let me try to understand. That much. There is something in this, let me try. A constructive faith. Like you go to a class in a college. You go to a professor's class, maybe physics or mathematics. You don't go to the class and think that this professor is wrong and the textbooks are all wrong and I'm going to prove them all wrong. That's not how you learn. You say that I don't understand it yet, let me work at it, I'll get it, what is being taught here. That much faith is required in Vedanta. Shraddha. Then these are the 6 which are packed into the third one. Then the fourth one is mumukshutvam. Intense desire for liberation, for moksha. Intense desire for liberation. So these 4 are the entry conditions for jnana, the path of knowledge. Viveka, Vairagya, the sixfold discipline, the sixfold treasure is called Shat Sampatti, and intense desire for liberation. At this point, one may feel, I'm not qualified. Where are those qualifications? I don't have those qualifications. Bhakti, on the other hand, doesn't ask for these qualifications. Can you love? Yes. Little bit also if you can love. Yes. Enough. Enough. You are free to enter Bhakti. One teacher put it very nicely. He said, Jnana, knowledge, is like a king. So if the king is going to visit you, it's up to you to clean out your house and decorate it and get the latest furniture, and because the king is visiting you. So the king will just, what will the king do? Nothing. Just come and sit royally and look nice. What was that? Royal wedding? It was all in the newspapers and everywhere. So they're just going to be royal. Compared to that, the teacher said, Bhakti is this very humble, quiet maidservant who comes and works in your house. She doesn't need anything. Just let her in. She will clean everything and make a space for herself and set herself up there. So Bhakti prepares the ground by itself, whereas Jnana requires earlier preparation. Another point. Bhakti is also very useful for Jnana. Bhakti is very useful for knowledge. Why? Knowledge generally works, at least at the preliminary level, it works at the level of the intellect. I do not know I am Brahman, I am shown that I am Brahman by the intellect. But if I do not have the qualifications, the fourfold qualifications which we spoke about, what will happen is, people keep saying this, Swami, now I understand Vedanta. I understand Vedanta. I'm even convinced by it. But it has not made any difference to my life. I don't see myself as that absolute. I haven't been able to find this thing you're talking about. I get a general idea. They'll say it is an intellectual conviction. One teacher told me, an Advaita teacher said, if you have those fourfold qualifications, Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Mokshutvam, those fourfold qualifications, if you have them, then the teaching of Vedanta will lead you to enlightenment. You will realize I am Brahman. If we do not have them, or we do not have them in sufficient measure, then at the end of it, this will be the result. You will feel, I learned a clever philosophy, but so what? Same teaching. Teaching is not better. The same teaching will lead one to enlightenment, and same teaching will say, it's just a philosophy. The difference is in the preparation. Now, Bhakti can help here. Bhakti can help. Bhakti can give you the preliminary preparations for Jnana also. By continuously immersing yourself in the thought of the divine, the mind is cleansed, Chitta Shuddhi. Concentration of mind comes, Chitta Ekagrata, focus of mind. So these are the things which are required. The fourfold qualifications will come as a result of the grace of God, or the grace of Ishvara. So Bhakti is very helpful for those who are on the path of Jnana also. Bhakti itself gives you the preparation, and Bhakti itself gives you the result also. Note that Shankara and all the great Jnanis, none of them were against devotion. They may have given the highest position to knowledge, but they were great devotees also. Look at the beautiful hymns that Shankara himself has written. Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate. Worship the Lord, worship Govinda. So, in fact, he told that to a person who was studying grammar. He said, more than grammar will not help you. When death is in front of you, when you're about to die, grammar is not going to help you. God is going to help you. So worship the Lord. But it also prepares you for knowledge. And with the preparation of knowledge, with the fourfold qualification, when you go into Vedantic study, reflection and meditation, then knowledge comes by itself and you realize, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. One could go on, there are many things to be said here, but let's see. If it comes up in the question answer, it will be better, it will be more interactive. So let me do a peace chant here, and then we'll go into the Q&A session. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram. So just raise your hand, tell us your name and ask your question. anything to do with spiritual practice, path of knowledge, path of devotion. Yes, I'll come to you. Yes.
So from what, my name is Aditi.
Yes.
So what I hear from you is that, if we were able to wisely mix the two paths, jnana and bhakti, then we will, we are more likely to be, effective and successful in our spiritual path.
Yes.
Instead of choosing just one or the other.
Right.
Is that correct?
The question she asked was, I'm repeating it because they're recording it, I think. So, if we are to mix wisely jnana and bhakti, it would be more effective than just either of them. I'm glad you asked this because this is a question which is, it is debated and has been for a long time. This is the issue. Remember the structure I gave you? Shankara structure, karma, upasana, jnana. Karma yoga first, and then meditation to get focus, and then the practices of knowledge to get illumination. 3 stages. Note that Shankaracharya, who is a non-dualist, who recommends the path of knowledge, he does not dispense with devotion, meditation or work. For Shankara, work, meditation, devotion are all preparatory, but it must be done. They must be done, otherwise the path of knowledge will not work. So he doesn't dispense with them. He accepts them. If you look at the other acharyas, Ramanuja, Vallabha, Madhva, in all of them, you will find they all recommend that all of these practices should be taken, but they give primacy to one or the other. So Ramanuja and Madhva would give primacy to bhakti. But there is also an element of ritualistic worship, that is karma for them. There is also an element of jnana, knowledge. What they mean by jnana is different. So my point is, all the traditional teachers, almost all, not all, there were some bhakti teachers like Chaitanya, for example, who would recommend only pure love of God. That's enough, he would say. In general, however, all the practices were accepted by all the teachers, but they gave different positions of importance to different practices. That's point 1. Next, let me point out Swami Vivekananda. There's a famous quote, often quoted. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest the divinity within. Do it by work, worship, psychic control, or philosophy, or by one or more or all of these, and be free. That is the whole of religion. Books, temples, doctrines, churches are secondary details. Now notice what he said in between. Work is karma yoga. Worship is bhakti yoga. Psychic control, he means meditation, raja yoga. Philosophy, he means jnana yoga, the path of knowledge. Look at what he said. By one, any one of them, it can lead you to freedom. By more, you can combine, or all of them, all 4 of them, and be free. That's the whole point. If you ask Vivekananda, he strongly recommends that you do all of them. And the traditional acharyas also recommend it, but they have a hierarchy. There's a system. For Shankara, knowledge alone leads to jnana yoga, gives freedom. Bhakti yoga, raja yoga, karma yoga can prepare you. One can give you purity of mind, the other can give you focus of mind, and so on. But ultimately only jnana yoga can give you illumination. For Ramanuja or Madhva, bhakti yoga can free you. So they all accept all the 4 yogas, but they say that one is primary, the others are secondary. Vivekananda seems to say all of them individually can lead you to enlightenment. Here is a little debate. So there are teachers who say, how can a non-dualist, a strict non-dualist will say, if ignorance is the problem, knowledge is the solution. And knowledge is given by jnana yoga. So jnana yoga is the final thing which will give you liberation. Others may be helpful, but they will not give you liberation. The answer to that is true of Shankara. But if you go to Ramanuja's system or the other systems of the Bhakti schools of Vedanta, they will give you a different answer. Bhakti can lead you to freedom, they will say. So if you stick to one framework, then will you say everybody else is wrong? That seems to be unfair. I like Sri Ramakrishna's approach. He said that all paths are true, and they all, in Bengali, joto mat tato path. As many paths, as many religions, so many paths to God. So the different paths, philosophies, practices, it's not really important what you practice, but it's important that you practice something sincerely. In Bengali he said, "Mot kichu noy, ektake dhore থাকলেই হয়." It's not really important which path you follow, but you must hold on to that sincerely. So that seems to be a very, very liberal and open and universal approach. Yeah. Can I just say something more about the harmony of the 4 yogas, which we practice in the Ramakrishna order? Notice that in the lives of great spiritual masters, great teachers in every tradition, whether Shankara himself, or Ramanuja, or Chaitanya, or Kabir, or anybody, you will find elements of jnana, bhakti, dhyana, karma, all of them are there. If you look at Shankara's system, it seems first there is karma yoga. Once your mind is pure, then only you will start meditating. Once your mind is pure and concentrated, then only come to open the Upanishad, come to Vedanta. That does not work in that way. All of them have to continue at the same way. In the beginning, more stress may be given to ritualistic action or karma yoga, unselfish action. Later on, more stress may be given to meditation. And later on, more stress may be given to Vedanta Vichara. True. But all of them have to continue at the same time. So Vivekananda strongly recommended, you have hands to work, do karma yoga. You have a heart to love, do bhakti yoga, love God. You have a mind to meditate with and an intellect to do vichara. Why not do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga and raja yoga? If you have seen the logo of the Ramakrishna order, those in India, they might have seen. It's a serpent which encircles, and there's a swan and waters and a lotus and the sun rising. So actually it symbolizes the harmony of the 4 yogas. The rising sun symbolizes knowledge, jnana yoga. The wavy waters symbolize karma yoga. The blooming lotus symbolizes bhakti, love of God. And the serpent encircling the whole thing symbolizes focus, kundalini or raja yoga, meditation. And the swan represents the ultimate reality, Parabrahman. So by harmonizing all the 4 yogas, one realizes the ultimate truth. All of these systems work. One or many. Suppose you say, I like only the path of knowledge. You're welcome to do it. But it's a wiser thing to do everything. There was a question there at the back. Yes. Ask hard ones.
Well, this is a practical question. I hope you don't mind. So with jnana yoga or with knowledge, one's suffering does lessen, because when things happen, there's a distance and you realize this is not happening to you. My question is, what about the suffering of others? So not attachment to material things, but attachment to other people. So children, for example, if it's your own or someone else's, when they suffer, you know they are Brahman. And that they are not affected, but they don't know that. And you cannot teach them that, or even other people, your parents, for example. So how does one, it seems a little selfish in a way. You know you don't suffer, but how do we alleviate the suffering of others?
Right. There are 2 aspects to Advaita. You can say, world is an appearance. In that case, suffering is also an appearance. Or the other aspect is, we are one reality, Brahman. You can either say the rope is real or you can say the snake is false. Now, it's a good idea to say the snake is false for one's own sake. And with others, the relationship is one of oneness. Sri Ramakrishna put it this way, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. Knowing others to be none other than Shiva, because they are Brahman, then your relationship with them would be service. Knowing God is present here, what's your relationship to this? Worship, reverence. Now if God is present in everybody, what should be your relationship to them? Vivekananda put it very forcefully. Never approach anything except as God. Because literally it is God. We don't know it, we don't feel it. But it's Brahman appearing in so many names and forms. So each body is the altar of worship to God. How do you worship? Depending on the need. A sick person needs medicine, a hungry person needs food, an uneducated person needs education, so on. That's also worship. Only flowers and incense and mantras is not worship. In fact, in our hospital, in Benares, our order runs a hospital. In many different places in Benares, they had a very interesting puja, where one day in a year, the patients are worshipped by the monks ritualistically. They'll put a garland and chant the mantras and put the tilak and bow down. And of course, the rest of the year with medicines and injections and all. But this is also worship. And that is the spirit in which we do. It's not social service for us. So similarly, when other people are suffering, you will serve them. You are actually worshipping Brahman by your service to them. When you treat patients who are suffering, that's a worship. Brahman is there in front of you as this suffering person. When you teach children in the school, I have actually seen this. A monk entering one of our classrooms in our schools there in India. Before he enters the classroom, he bows down. So I asked, whom are you bowing down to? He said, I'm bowing down to God in the form of those little boys in the class. The actual words he used, I'm bowing down to Gadadhar in the form of those little boys. Gadadhar was the childhood name of Sri Ramakrishna. So, that way. So it's the worship of Shiva in Jiva. That should be our attitude. There one should not dismiss, oh, I'm not the body and mind, suffering is in the body, it's not mine, I'm a witness to suffering, so my suffering, a space opens up and suffering actually lessens. But you will see that you should not do that to others. Oh, you are Brahman, nothing has happened. Will not work. Yes, if that person is a spiritual practitioner, help him to see that. But for most cases, you need to serve with medicine and food and comfort and nursing and so on. Question? Yes.
So, we know that Jnana Yoga is so important and Vedanta is the ultimate. So why kids are not taught in their young age, so that they can learn it when they are young itself, and then now, as older people like me, I don't have to feel sorry that I didn't learn it when I was young.
Yeah, that's true. All I can do is agree with that. Kids should be taught that. In fact, there's an old story, the story of Queen Madalasa, who taught her baby from the child from the cradle onwards. She would swing the cradle and sing, Tvamasi Niranjana. You are the sinless, the absolute reality. And they all became enlightened people when they grew up.
But they say that the kids are sponge, when they are young, they are sponge.
Correct.
So it's better to, that's why, in
Correct.
traditional families, they teach all these slokas so that they can chant that even though they don't know the meaning of it.
Correct.
And that's what I was brought up also. So I feel like they
So you got some of that treated. You can't blame parents or society that nobody taught me anything. Yeah, and that's up to society and up to parents too. The enlightened parenting includes a degree of spiritual teaching. I won't say religious, they say immediately religious indoctrination. Don't indoctrinate, but teach, give the resources, and then set them free, let them choose for themselves. Yeah. It should be available. And I can, often children have very pure minds, and very receptive minds. And these teachings often seem very directly real to children, not so much so to grown-up people with skeptical minds. For us, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of reasoning and suffering in the world to finally bring us around. Children go directly to the heart of it. All right. Is there anybody else who will come to you? Yes. Tell us your name.
My name is Rajendra.
Brilliant.
So these talks means we saw YouTube videos and we had these talks. They stay for some time, but after some time, literally we get into the world and it goes away. So what piece of advice, especially when everyone is busy and so many problems are there, right? One practical advice anyone can easily follow.
Okay, the first thing I will say, the answer to that question was today's talk. Why it goes away? It's because Vedanta will say those fourfold qualifications are weak. It's not that they are not there. If they were not there, you would not come here. On a rainy Sunday evening, so many of you have come here. There are hundreds of thousands of people who would have stayed at home. So you have come here, there's a spiritual quest. There's no doubt that everybody who's sitting here is in some sense a spiritual seeker, including me. We are all spiritual seekers. So we have those qualifications. but maybe not enough. That's why we don't absorb it. It goes away after some time. So regular spiritual practice has to be done. Now, your question was, we lead busy lives. So what is the one piece of advice that you would give with you? The piece of advice would be, spiritualize your life. Not spiritual activity in the morning and in the evening and once in a week going to the temple, all those are good. But throughout the day, do you remember? Din bhar Hanuman ji ka puja. So can you convert your day-to-day activities into spiritual practice? One of our Swamis, he gave a talk on this, spiritualizing everyday life. He said, he made a point which really struck my heart. He said, if you leave the world and your daily life out of your spirituality, then it's a very incomplete spirituality. It's a spirituality limited to meditation in your meditation room or in the temple. What about the rest of your life? And what about the rest of the world? Is it excluded from God, excluded from spirituality? No. Can you spiritualize your whole life? Every activity can you mentally offer to God. Some people, many practices people do. Some do japa internally. Whenever they are free from work, one Swami told me personally, very beautiful, I cannot forget. He said, because in our order we do a lot of work. Schools, colleges, hospitals. He said, when you are working, work with one hand and hold on to the feet of the Lord with the other hand. When work is finished, hold on to the feet of the Lord with both hands. It's a good practice. Spiritualize everyday life. You must bring God in whatever form you are worshipping into contact with the rest of your life. Your study, your cooking, your daily routine, your driving, your work, everywhere. Need not make a show of it. In fact, you should not make a show of it. Make it as private as possible, internally. Internally, you'll be a yogi. You'll be a yogi internally. It has to be done. I'll come to you. Another advantage is, if you spiritualize your day-to-day life, one big advantage. You know, one problem everybody speaks about in prayer and meditation is, Swami, I sit for meditation, but my mind wanders here and there. Why? Have you ever thought why it happens? It happens to everybody. Arjuna himself raises this question to Krishna in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Chanchalam hi manak Krishna. Mind is unruly, unstable. But why? Why is this problem there? You never say, my mind is wandering when I'm watching a movie. When I'm watching World Cup football. Oh, what can I do? I can't watch it, my mind is going here and there. No, mind is not going anywhere. Mind is focused right there. Then why in meditation it's going here and there? What do you think? Concentration. But why is concentration? You are capable of concentrating because you concentrate so much on the World Cup football. Effortlessly concentrate. 2 hours, 3 hours, fully concentrated.
All senses are involved.
What? Practice.
We are forcing the mind to shut down.
That means interest, question of interest. All senses are involved. Very good. These are actually the reasons. A lot of work has been done in recent times on concentration and focus by psychologists here in the United States. One person I would like to mention is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote this book, Flow. If you read that book, a lot of work he has done. Whole life he is devoted to concentration only. He is concentrated on concentration. So he's a psychologist here. At least even if you don't read the book, see his TED Talk. He points out this. He says, you know what is concentration? Our mind actually has limited bandwidth. He even calculates it, some 120 bits per second or something, 150 bits per second, like this he calculates. That much information we can process. Now, how much of that are you devoting to the task? If you devote 80 to 90% of that, you will say, my mind is absorbed. And it is easier to devote it if all your senses are involved. If you are driving in a difficult situation, so your eyes and ears and your decision-making capacity, hands and hand and leg coordination, everything you must be alert, looking at the signs. It may sound funny to you. I was in LA, I was in California for the first year of my stay in USA. So they said, you have to learn to drive. I said, okay. And I started learning. And somehow controlling the car, keeping it in the lane. And the person who was helping me said, slowly, Swami, you also have to read the signs. That person was my navigator. Turn left, turn right, turn. And I was like, tell me what to do next. Slowly you have to read the signs also. And I have to control the car and read the signs also. Easily, after some time, it will happen automatically. All your senses get involved in it. That's why concentration is automatic. But now imagine meditation. Sit straight. Movement, no movement. Eyes, close them. You can't see. You are not tasting, touching, smelling, seeing, hearing. Stop. How difficult. Once you stop it, what will happen according to Mihai Csikszentmihalyi? All the cognitive capacity will be freed up without any object to be focused upon. Naturally, mind will start wandering. If you are not trained in meditation, if you are not able to take that attention and focus it on the object of meditation, all that free cognitive capacity will now, you are not allowing your eyes to see. It will start getting memories. It will think about other things. So that will run wild. That's why it's so difficult to meditate all of a sudden. Dhyana is only the 7th step in Ashtanga Yoga. After that comes Samadhi. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, then Dhyana, then Samadhi. So meditation is not we immediately start meditating. Definitely it's difficult. That is why spiritualizing our daily activities is so important. When you are actually doing something, your senses are engaged, mind is engaged, hands are engaged, then concentration is not so much of a problem. Just add God to it mentally. I am doing it as a worship of God. As I put flowers here, I am putting this work, offering it to Bhagavan. Nobody will, Karma Yogis don't complain, my mind is going here and there. At the most they may complain, I forget to offer it to God. But soon it will become a habit. So spiritualizing everyday activity is a powerful spiritual practice. Meditation by itself it's difficult. Mind will wander for many, many years it will be difficult to concentrate. And this positive psychology, work of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, it explains these things. Yes.
My name is Anuradha.
Anuradha.
Just one question. So, there are different ways of chanting God, Mananam, people in different ways. I might be doing chanting inside whole day. You might be taking a Tulsi Mala or a Japamala.
Right.
Somebody takes a Rudraksh Mala.
Yes.
What is the secret behind using all those things when you can do it by yourself? Because you said a while back, privately, you don't need to show off anything.
Right.
You can do it. That Mananam can happen continuously throughout the day. When you sleep, eat, drink, bathe, doesn't matter. So what are these different forms of reciting God?
Right. They are exactly related to that concentration. These are technologies which have been evolved to support the mind. So, japa, suppose you have a mantra, something like Om Namah Shivaya or something. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva or something. Now we repeat it. You're supposed to repeat it and focus on that. The highest way is where you're sitting quietly, absorbed in the thought of God, and the mantra is repeating itself, effortlessly without break. If that is not possible, other thoughts are coming, then consciously repeat that mantra to yourself, non-verbally. A little lower would be, lips are moving, no sound is being produced. A little lower than that, concentration is not happening, then count with your fingers. A little lower, the lowest of all is with the Japa Mala, the Tulsi Mala or something, some Mala is the Rudraksha Mala. So these are supports for the mind. You can easily explain it with the work of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. More you are engaging the hands and the mind and the lips, and so the more concentration there will be. But that is just a support. When your mind is deep, sattvic, steady, concentrated, you don't need any of this. First repeat with the mala, then repeat with your hands, then stop that also, just repeat in your mind.
But
Yeah.
one question is, God has given us senses.
Mm.
He has given you voice to speak.
Right?
So my father says, use your voice. Try to speak up. If you know any sloka, recite it. If you know any kirtana, sing it. Use your voice.
Right.
So what he said is valid, what you said is valid. So both of you in your own ways are right. But it's again, what you said is right, it's the different techniques
Yes.
that we use. That's the bottom line.
Right. See what works for you. If you say internally I'm doing it, I feel I don't want to speak it aloud outside, fine, it's all right. If I try to do it internally, my mind goes here and there. Then let me chant it out loud. There are many benefits to loud chanting. If you're by yourself, don't disturb others, but if you're by yourself, chant it, it creates a vibration. You see, it's always good in spiritual life to begin where we are. Why do you have to sit straight? Why not sit like this? Try to think high and noble thoughts while sitting like this. You cannot. Posture has an immediate effect on the mind. Breathing has an immediate effect on the mind. Cleanliness has an immediate effect on the mind. Why is a bath necessary? Don't make it a fanatical rule, but see that there is a logic behind it. And try it for yourself. If it works, continue. Why are separate clothes kept for formal worship? These are powerful supports. It immediately creates an atmosphere for your mind. But don't make it a kind of, fanatical rule following. I can concentrate on God only with that dhoti which I used to wear and I left it in India, so I can't think of God anymore. No, it should not be like that.
Can I just add to what she said?
Yeah.
So once somebody had told me to chant 30,000 times about something, and I was chanting loudly like you were saying. My mouth was becoming drier and drier, and it was really affecting my concentration because I was getting affected by it. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to chant in my mind instead of. So I was flexible, like he said. I used common sense. So what is hindering my concentration? Is it chanting? Is that my fanatical goal? Or is it just in my mind or my mouth? So depending on the situation, you should, I think, use your common sense. And
yeah, that's right.
So,
you have a question? I'll come to you, but first, the gentleman there. Tell us your name. Yes.
My name is Krishna. My question is, whatever efforts you do in this lifetime for spirituality, will it continue in the next birth? Where you start from it?
You're asking Arjuna's question. 6th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. There's an underlying humor to the situation also. If you read carefully, Krishna teaches meditation in the 6th chapter. All of this which we're talking about. Arjuna has the same doubt which most people have. He asks Krishna, these techniques of meditation taught by you are useless. Why? Because the mind is so fickle. It's as good as trying to control the wind, trying to control the mind. It will not work. And then Krishna answers that by saying, you are right. Asanshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam. You are right. The mind is difficult to control, but it can be done. There's a way, there's a technique, let me tell you that, which will enable you to have deep meditation. And you can imagine, I can see people, what's that? You can imagine Arjuna flipping out his notebook or something. Yeah, tell me, that's what I wanted to know. And Krishna says, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chigrihate. Regular practice and dispassion for the world. The mind is an animal which is trained by repetition. And it is also anchored to the world by our worldly desires. The more you reduce that and more you stick to your regular practice, the mind will come under control. Now that doubt in our minds was also in Arjuna's mind. It's a little embarrassing to express it. Arjuna thinks that, yeah, but that doesn't sound very easy. Regular practice, and I could have said that also. Regular practice and dispassion for the world that concentrates your mind. So he comes to the next question. Suppose I'm a spiritual seeker and I try, but I don't get enlightened in this life, then what will happen? Have I wasted my life? I could have been a worldly person, totally immersed in the world, and yet I have spent so much time in the temple, and I spent so much time sitting for meditation, and I don't get enlightenment, so is the whole thing, what do you call it, a washout? Or, yeah, it's all written off. And Krishna's answer, that is the question Arjuna asks. Suppose I don't get enlightenment in this life, then what will happen? Because he had a little feeling he might not get enlightenment in this life. So Krishna says, reassures him absolutely. Says that never fear. If there is one thing that is carried over from this life to the next, life after life, it is this spiritual quest. Because Vedanta sees the entire universe is for the purpose of enlightenment. The whole game is for the purpose of your enlightenment. That's how Vedanta sees this whole thing. So this is one thing that will definitely yield results in the next life also. This is a person who does not get enlightenment, he calls him yoga bhrashta, a person who has slipped from the path of yoga, gets a much better birth in the next life, goes to heaven and enjoys life and then whatnot, gets a much better birth. Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Vijayate. You are born again in the family of the people who are good people, moral people, even spiritual people. The rarest of yogis are born in, parents are spiritual. So that's the rarest birth, Krishna says. But otherwise, you're born into decent situations where somehow or the other you are brought into touch with spirituality. It may not be the kind of spirituality you are used to in your past birth, some form of spirituality. And Krishna says, even unwillingly, what was the words he used? Riyate, avashopisa. You are swept along. You have a tremendous upsurge, an inquiry. I want this. It will come up within you. All that stored practice, you will not remember it. If you have memorized the Gita in this life, it's not that you'll be able to recall it next life. But the tendency will be there. The tremendous attraction to this path. Your classmates may not be interested at all, and you are all interested in, deeply pulled into it, sucked into it. Where did it come from? From past lives. So Krishna says, in the next life you will definitely progress in spiritual life. So nothing is lost. Absolutely nothing is lost. Oh, we're getting more questions. All right.
Swamiji, it seems to me Shankaracharya gave a bottom-up hierarchy, right? He said karma yoga and then meditation. And then
Just the opposite. Top down.
Yeah.
Jnana works for you, done. Does not work for you, meditation. Does not work for you, then karma.
Okay, because that makes sense. Because once you get the knowledge,
Yes.
then meditation becomes very easy because you want to focus on yourself. And bhakti becomes easy because you want to worship symbols of yourself. And karma yoga becomes easy because you see yourself in everyone and you want to serve.
I'm glad you said that. Is that your question? Is observation?
Yeah,
It's more of an
that's my
observation. In spiritual life, there can come a phase. At the beginning, you have an interest, you have a curiosity, a shraddha, a faith in it, and we are seeking. We are seeking the divine. But very soon, a stage will come, at some point, where you have already found it. You're no longer seeking it. Now your practice is stabilizing yourself in that. Refining it, stabilizing yourself in that. And as Vivekananda said, manifesting it. Manifesting it means in your speech, in your action. See that it helps you and others in you. So that becomes the next phase of, you're not yet fully enlightened. But you are now, you know what you are looking for. You have found it in some sense. Now you're centering yourself in it. There again the same practices will continue. Japa will continue, meditation will continue, karma yoga will continue, but now the whole focus has changed. Earlier bhakti was, I want spiritual realization, I'm praying to God for it. Now bhakti is, I have found you. It is just pure love for God. So all those other practices become illumined by your inner conviction, by your inner, I would say, realization. And those things also continue, those practices will continue. Good. The same practices are transmuted now. And at that stage, but for that, that breakthrough is essential. Unless one has that breakthrough, then this will not make sense. Yeah. All right, last question. Okay, we'll end with you, yes.
So this human life is a great, whatever punyam you have done in your previous janma, so human life is a very important life for every human being.
Right.
What should we do to get moksha? I don't want another life. I don't want a human life. I don't want animal life. I don't want any life. I want to be just in the feet of God. And I don't want any life after I die. What should we do to get that moksha? You are in the spiritual path. You do good. You think good. You try. You chant the holy name continuously. You do your best. What are the different? I just want to know. Like, I don't want another life. So what should I do for that?
So the first thing required is this. This is called mumukshutva, an intense desire for God. You can do it. Your approach seems to be devotional, so you can do it devotionally. So Sri Ramakrishna, he cried for God, wept for. And are you just an image? Can I not see you actually? to Mother Kali in Dakshineshwar. So, an intense desire to realize God, to find God. That is the most important thing, what you're taught. The first thing you said is that is what is required. And then you manifest it in spiritual practice. And say, practically what will I do? Do karma yoga, do bhakti yoga, do meditation, do jnana yoga. So many things are there. Wide menu of spiritual practices are there. Engage yourself. Don't feel like meditation, then read something, chant something. Don't feel like doing that, listen to devotional music. Don't feel like doing that, go out and help people. You feel you want to understand all of this, study Vedanta carefully and think seriously about it. So many options are open to you.